Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to talk about something crucial for your journey to speaking English fluently. Many people focus so much on studying English, learning grammar rules, memorizing vocabulary, and understanding sentence structures. But they forget about one thing, the actual speaking part. It's easy to get caught up in books and study guides, but the truth is, real learning happens when you speak the language. Let's start with a simple question. Why is speaking so difficult for beginners, even after all the studying? Well, the answer is simple yet powerful. When we focus only on studying, we miss the opportunity to actually practice speaking in real-life situations. You may know all the grammar rules and vocabulary, but when it comes time to speak, you freeze. You may feel nervous or unsure about making mistakes, and that's okay. But what if I told you that speaking is the key to overcoming all these challenges? Speaking is what connects you to others. As Nelson Mandela once said, if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. This powerful quote reminds us that speaking a language isn't just about communicating words, it's about connecting with people. And if you want to connect with others in English, you need to speak. Now, let's talk about why many beginners struggle to speak English. One of the main reasons is the fear of making mistakes. Many learners believe that speaking English perfectly is the goal. They want to speak without mistakes, but this fear only makes the process harder. The truth is, mistakes are part of the journey. Think about it. When you were learning to walk, you didn't expect yourself to be perfect right away. You fell down many times, but eventually, you learned how to walk without thinking about it. Learning to speak English is exactly the same. Mistakes are not failures. They are stepping stones toward becoming fluent. Another big challenge is the lack of confidence. When you're starting out, it's normal to feel like you're not good enough or that people won't understand you. But remember, confidence comes with practice. The more you speak, the more confident you will become. Even if you start by speaking small sentences, that's progress. Over time, your confidence will grow, and you'll find it easier to express yourself. Let's not forget about the hesitation that many beginners face. You might be thinking, I want to speak, but I don't know what to say. Or, what if I can't find the right words? These thoughts are common, but they don't have to hold you back. The solution is simple. Speak anyway. Don't wait until you're 100% ready, because that day might never come. Start speaking, even if you feel unsure. The more you speak, the more comfortable you'll become with the language. And here's another important point. Speaking isn't just about the words you say, it's also about how you say them. Your pronunciation, rhythm, and tone all play a role in making yourself understood. You don't have to speak like a native speaker right away. The goal is clear communication, and that starts with practicing simple, clear sentences. As you practice more, your pronunciation will improve, and you'll sound more natural over time. But how do you start? The first thing you need to do is stop studying so much and start speaking. Yes, it sounds simple, but it's true. Instead of spending hours in your books, focus on speaking out loud. Practice speaking sentences, even if they're small and simple. Speak to yourself, speak with a friend, or find a language partner. You can even practice by repeating sentences you hear on TV shows or in movies. This method is called shadowing, and it helps you improve your pronunciation and rhythm. One of the best ways to boost your speaking is by engaging in conversations. Don't worry if your grammar isn't perfect. The more you speak, the more you will learn. Start by speaking in everyday situations, even if it's just a short conversation at a store or with a friend. It's all practice. The more you engage with English in real-life situations, the faster your speaking skills will improve. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest advantages of speaking. It helps you remember. When you speak, you're not just learning words, you're actively using them. This helps you remember them better. You'll notice that when you speak often, the words start to stick in your memory. And the more words you remember, the easier it becomes to form sentences and have conversations. If you need help practicing speaking, there are plenty of resources available on my channel. I've uploaded several videos that focus on improving your English speaking skills. These videos offer practical tips and exercises to help you become more confident and fluent. You'll find everything from basic pronunciation tips to advanced speaking techniques. But the key to becoming fluent in English isn't just about watching videos, it's about putting what you learn into action, and speaking is the action you need to take. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the right words to come to you. Start speaking now, and you will improve faster than you ever thought possible. Are you ready to stop studying and start speaking? The truth is, the more you speak, the easier it gets. With every conversation, with every sentence, you're moving closer to fluency. So, take that first step today. The world is waiting for you to speak. If you feel ready to practice, check out the videos on my channel that will guide you through the process. Don't forget to leave a comment on the video. Let me know your experiences with speaking English. What challenges do you face? What are your goals? I'd love to hear from you. A few minutes ago, we talked about how important speaking is and how it connects you with others, but there's one huge obstacle that stops many beginners from speaking: the fear of making mistakes. You might have experienced this fear already. You're worried that if you make a mistake, people will laugh or think you're not good enough. But I'm here to tell you that this fear is completely normal, and more importantly, it doesn't need to stop you. Let's start with a simple truth. Everyone makes mistakes. In fact, mistakes are the only way to learn. When we were little, we made mistakes as we learned to walk, talk, and even ride a bicycle. Did we stop trying after a few falls? Of course not. We got back up, tried again, and eventually, we succeeded. Language learning is exactly the same. As the famous author J.K. Rowling once said, "It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." The choice to keep going, even after mistakes, is what will help you become a fluent speaker of English. You might be wondering, how do I stop worrying about mistakes? It's easier than you think. The first step is to understand that mistakes are not failures. They are part of the learning process. In fact, each mistake you make brings you one step closer to fluency. Imagine you're learning to drive a car. In the beginning, you might make mistakes like turning too early or not pressing the gas enough, but with each mistake, you learn how to improve your skills and drive more confidently. The same goes for speaking English. When you make a mistake, you learn something new. Perhaps you mispronounced a word or used the wrong tense, but with time and practice, you'll stop making that same mistake, and eventually, you'll speak more confidently and naturally. Remember, the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to improve. It's also important to remember that people are not paying as much attention to your mistakes as you think. Most of the time, people are focused on what you're saying, not on how you say it. So, even if you make a mistake, don't worry. Your message is still getting across. And if you're speaking with someone who's a native English speaker, chances are they've made mistakes in their own language too. Language learning is something we all go through, no matter where we come from. Here's another helpful tip. Start by speaking with people who are supportive and understanding. You don't need to jump straight into conversations with strangers. Instead, try speaking with a friend, a family member, or a language partner who will encourage you and help you along the way. By doing this, you'll feel safer making mistakes and learning from them. Plus, this practice will help you build your confidence. If you're really afraid of making mistakes, start by speaking alone. Yes, I mean speaking to yourself. You can practice speaking in front of a mirror or record yourself reading simple sentences. When you hear yourself, you'll be able to spot any mistakes and correct them. The more you do this, the more comfortable you'll feel with your own voice. And trust me, this practice will pay off. Let's talk about one more thing. Self-compassion. It's easy to be hard on yourself when you make a mistake, but try to be kind to yourself instead. Don't criticize yourself for not being perfect. Celebrate the fact that you're trying and learning. As the great Albert Einstein once said, "Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new." Every mistake is an opportunity to learn, so embrace it with open arms. If you ever feel stuck or discouraged, remember that you're not alone.
Many English learners face the same fear of making mistakes, and everyone goes through it. The key is to push past that fear and keep going. The more you speak, the easier it will get, and soon you'll start to notice that you're making fewer mistakes and speaking with more confidence. One way to reduce the fear of mistakes is to expose yourself to real-life English. Listen to podcasts, watch TV shows, and pay attention to how native speakers speak. They make mistakes too. They may stutter, correct themselves, or use informal language. It's normal. What's important is that they keep speaking, and that's what you should do too. Don't stop just because you're afraid of making a mistake. Keep speaking, and soon enough, speaking English will feel more natural. On my channel, I have a few videos that can help you with this process. You'll find some tips on overcoming your fear of speaking, as well as practical ways to practice. I recommend checking them out to boost your confidence even more. The fear of making mistakes is natural, but it should never hold you back. Embrace your mistakes, learn from them, and keep speaking. The more you speak, the less you'll fear making mistakes. Eventually, you'll realize that making mistakes is just part of the process, and your confidence will grow with every conversation. Are you ready to take that step? Start speaking today, even if you make mistakes. Trust me, it's the fastest way to become fluent. If you've ever felt nervous about speaking English, you're not alone. One of the biggest challenges beginners face when learning to speak a new language is a lack of confidence. It's completely normal to feel unsure of yourself when you start speaking in a language that's not your own, but I'm here to tell you that confidence is something you can build. Confidence is key to speaking fluently. The more confident you are, the easier it is to speak, even if you're still making mistakes. But how do you develop that confidence? Let me give you a few tips that can help you along the way. First, let's address the most important thing. Confidence comes with practice. The more you speak, the more comfortable you will feel. Imagine learning to ride a bicycle. At first, you might wobble and fall, but with enough practice, you gain balance and soon you're riding confidently. The same principle applies to speaking English. Start with simple conversations and over time you'll build more confidence. Every time you speak, you're one step closer to fluency. It's also essential to start small. You don't need to speak like a native speaker right away. Start by practicing short, simple sentences. Don't worry about making mistakes or sounding perfect. Focus on getting your message across clearly. For example, you can start by saying, "Hello, how are you?" or "I like to read books." These small sentences are great practice and will help you gain confidence. Another way to boost your confidence is by surrounding yourself with supportive people. Try to find a language partner or a friend who will encourage you. Speaking in front of someone you trust can make a big difference. When you speak with a supportive person, you're less likely to feel judged or embarrassed about your mistakes. In fact, a supportive partner will likely help you learn from your mistakes in a positive way. This will make you feel more confident and ready to speak more. One of the most helpful tips I can give you is to practice speaking every day. The more you speak, the more natural it will feel. Even if you don't have someone to speak with, try speaking out loud to yourself. You can talk about your day, describe what you see around you, or talk about things you enjoy. When you practice speaking out loud, you build your confidence and improve your fluency. Here's something that can help you feel even more confident. Visualize your success before you speak. Take a moment to imagine yourself speaking clearly and confidently. Picture yourself in a conversation, expressing your thoughts without hesitation. Visualization can reduce anxiety and boost your self-esteem, making it easier to speak when the time comes. Believe in yourself, and soon enough you'll feel more at ease speaking in English. Another powerful technique is positive self-talk. It's easy to get discouraged and tell yourself that you're not good enough, but this only creates more anxiety. Instead, remind yourself that you are learning and it's okay to make mistakes. Tell yourself, "I am improving every day," or "I am confident and capable of speaking in English." Repeating positive thoughts like these will help you build the mental strength you need to speak confidently. If, in addition to these tips, remember that confidence doesn't come overnight. It's a gradual process. You won't go from feeling shy to speaking like a pro in one day, but every little bit of practice counts. Over time, your confidence will grow, and speaking English will feel more natural and less intimidating. Let's talk about something else that can help you build confidence: your body language. Did you know that the way you carry yourself can affect your confidence? Standing tall, keeping your shoulders back, and making eye contact with the person you're speaking to can give you a boost of confidence. Even if you're nervous inside, your body language can make you look more confident to others, and that often translates into feeling more confident too. Another technique to boost your confidence is to learn from others. Watch English speakers, whether it's on YouTube, in movies, or in TV shows, and pay attention to how they speak. Notice their tone, rhythm, and body language. Mimic their style and practice. The more you expose yourself to natural, fluent English, the more comfortable you will feel in your own speaking. There are also ways you can learn and improve without feeling overwhelmed. Start by focusing on small achievements. Perhaps today you spoke for just 1 minute in English, or you learned 5 new words. Celebrate these small victories. Every little step counts, and each one brings you closer to your goal. The great Albert Einstein once said, "The only source of knowledge is experience." The more experience you gain by speaking, the more confident you will become. Confidence is not something you are born with. It's something you develop through effort and experience. By taking action every day and practicing speaking regularly, you'll start to see big improvements in your confidence and fluency. So, how can you build your confidence in speaking English? Start small and practice daily. Surround yourself with supportive people who encourage you. Practice positive self-talk and visualize your success. Focus on your small victories and progress. Pay attention to your body language and speak with confidence. And don't forget, on my channel I've uploaded videos with helpful tips on how to improve your speaking skills and build your confidence. Check them out whenever you need extra guidance or motivation. Are you ready to take the first step towards speaking confidently? Every conversation you have is a chance to build your confidence, so start speaking today. And remember, you are capable, and you are improving every day. Now let's dive into another crucial aspect of speaking English: listening. You may be surprised, but listening plays a huge role in how well you speak. The more you listen, the better you can understand how English sounds, how it's used in different situations, and how you can start using it confidently yourself. Why is listening so important for speaking well? When you listen to English regularly, you get familiar with its rhythm, intonation, and pronunciation. You learn how sentences flow, how native speakers express themselves, and how they connect words together. All of this will help you sound more natural when you speak. Listening helps you understand the language better so you can use it more effectively in your own conversations. Have you ever tried to speak a language without hearing it first? It's very difficult, isn't it? This is why listening is the first step towards speaking. When you hear how native speakers talk, you begin to pick up on the correct pronunciation, common phrases, and sentence structures. This will give you the confidence to use them in your own conversations. Here's something interesting. You don't need to understand every word when you're listening. Just focus on the overall meaning and get used to the way English sounds. Even if you don't understand everything, you're still learning. In fact, One of the best ways to improve your speaking is by listening to content that is just a little bit above your current level. This might seem challenging at first, but it will help you stretch your understanding and improve your speaking skills at the same time. Let me share with you a quote from the famous author Mark Twain. "The secret of getting ahead is getting started." This quote is especially true when it comes to speaking English. The more you listen, the more you'll improve. Listening is like the foundation for speaking. Without good listening skills, it's hard to know what to say or how to say it. Now, you might be wondering, how can I improve my listening skills so that I can speak better? Here are a few tips that will help you develop your listening skills. Listen to English every day. Make it a habit to listen to English daily, whether it's watching movies, listening to podcasts, or even songs in English. Try to expose yourself to the language as much as possible. The more you hear, the better you'll understand it.
Use subtitles. Watching TV shows or movies with subtitles can help you connect the spoken words with their written form. It's a great way to learn new vocabulary and improve your listening comprehension. You can start with subtitles in your own language, then switch to English subtitles as you improve. Repeat what you hear. Try repeating the sentences you hear, even if it's just a small part. This practice, called shadowing, helps you improve your pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. When you shadow, you're training your brain to recognize the sounds of English and to reproduce them more naturally. Listen to podcasts. Podcasts are an excellent way to improve both your listening and speaking. On my channel, I have videos and podcasts that are specifically designed to help you improve your English skills. I recommend listening to them regularly and practicing along with them. Focus on context. Sometimes you won't understand every word, and that's okay. Focus on the overall meaning of what's being said. Try to guess the meaning of unfamiliar words based on the context. This will help you develop your ability to understand spoken English without feeling frustrated when you don't understand every single word. Practice active listening. When you listen, make sure you're truly engaged. Try to focus on the speaker's tone, emotions, and how they emphasize certain words. Active listening helps you connect with the language on a deeper level, and it's a great way to practice speaking as well. As you listen more, you'll start to notice that you can pick up new words and phrases much more easily. You'll begin to recognize patterns in the language and understand how sentences are constructed. Over time, you'll feel more confident using those words and phrases in your own speaking. It's all about building your foundation of understanding, which will then help you speak more naturally. Remember, speaking doesn't happen in isolation. It's a skill that's closely connected to listening. If you want to speak better, you need to listen more. Just like a child learns to speak by first listening to their parents, you can improve your speaking by listening to native speakers. As you listen more, you'll get a better sense of how English is used in real-life situations, which will help you speak more naturally. Another great way to practice listening and speaking together is by having conversations with native speakers. This will give you the opportunity to hear real, everyday English and practice responding to it in real time. It's the best way to develop your speaking skills because you're learning in a natural, interactive way. But don't worry if you make mistakes along the way. Just like listening to podcasts and watching videos helps you improve your listening, practicing speaking with others will help you improve your speaking. It's all part of the process. Now, I want you to try something today. Start by listening to an English podcast or watching a short video. Pay attention to how the speakers use the language. Try repeating some of the sentences you hear. And remember, don't be afraid to make mistakes. This is all part of your learning process, and with every mistake, you're getting one step closer to fluency. You can also check out the videos on my channel to find more tips for improving your listening and speaking skills. These videos are designed to help you practice in a fun and engaging way. So keep listening, keep practicing, and soon enough, you'll start speaking English more confidently and naturally. By now, you've learned that speaking, listening, and building confidence are all essential to mastering English. But there's one more crucial element that ties everything together: consistency. Consistency is the key to improving in any skill, and language learning is no exception. Whether you're practicing speaking, listening, or even building your vocabulary, the more consistent you are, the faster you'll improve. You may have heard the phrase, "practice makes perfect." While perfection isn't the goal when learning a language, consistency is what helps you get better day by day. It's like learning how to play a musical instrument. If you only practice once in a while, progress will be slow. But if you practice regularly, even for a short time each day, you'll see results much faster. The same rule applies to learning English. Let me share a quote from the famous writer and philosopher Aristotle. "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This quote tells us that success comes not from a single effort, but from repeated actions over time. To become fluent in English, you need to make it a habit. Consistent practice is what will turn you from a beginner into a confident English speaker. You may be thinking, "But I don't have a lot of time to practice every day." Don't worry. The great thing about language learning is that you don't need to spend hours a day to improve. Even 10 to 15 minutes of consistent practice can make a huge difference over time. It's better to practice a little bit each day than to cram in a lot of studying on just one day. Consistency is about making English a part of your daily routine. One simple way to make English practice a part of your day is to set aside a specific time for it. Whether it's in the morning, during your lunch break, or before bed, choose a time that works best for you. Consistency doesn't mean spending a lot of time all at once. It's about creating a habit. It could be as simple as listening to an English podcast while you walk, repeating a few new phrases before you go to sleep, or speaking with a friend for 5 minutes every day. The important part is that you're doing it regularly. Another way to stay consistent is by setting small, achievable goals. When you set small goals, you're more likely to stay motivated and stick to your practice. For example, instead of aiming to speak fluently in a month, set a goal to learn 5 new words every week, or practice speaking for 10 minutes a day. By breaking down your bigger goal into smaller steps, you make it more manageable, and you'll feel a sense of accomplishment as you reach each milestone. Consistency doesn't just help you improve your skills, it also builds your confidence. The more regularly you practice, the more confident you become in your abilities. As you make progress, you'll start to see how much you've learned, and that progress will motivate you to keep going. It's like climbing a mountain. At first, the climb may seem difficult, but with each step, you get closer to the top. And every time you reach a new milestone, you'll be encouraged to keep moving forward. One powerful tool that can help you stay consistent is creating a learning schedule. Having a plan gives you structure and direction, so you don't waste time figuring out what to do next. A learning schedule can be as simple as writing down what you want to focus on each day, whether it's speaking, listening, or learning new vocabulary. With a clear plan, you'll find it easier to stay on track and make steady progress. It's also important to remember that consistency is about enjoying the process. Language learning shouldn't feel like a chore. If you make it fun, you're more likely to stick with it. For example, you could practice speaking by describing things you see around you, chatting with a language partner, or even playing language games. Finding ways to enjoy the process will help you stay motivated and make your practice feel less like work. Let's talk about the power of tracking your progress. When you keep track of your improvement, it boosts your motivation and helps you see how far you've come. You can keep a journal of new words you learn, record yourself speaking, or even write short essays in English. Looking back at your progress will give you a sense of accomplishment and encourage you to keep going. You may also want to join a language community or find a practice partner. Having someone to practice with keeps you accountable, and it can also make learning more enjoyable. There are many language exchange platforms and groups where you can connect with other learners. This can help you stay consistent by setting up regular speaking sessions where you can practice together and support each other on your learning journey. Remember, language learning is not a race, it's a marathon, and consistency is your most powerful tool. By practicing regularly, you'll build a solid foundation and slowly but surely improve your speaking skills. It might feel slow at times, but trust me, every bit of effort counts. As the saying goes, little by little, one travels far. The small steps you take today will lead to big improvements tomorrow. On my channel, I have videos that can guide you through your learning process. They provide helpful tips and exercises to keep you on track with your consistent practice. Check them out whenever you need extra motivation or inspiration. So, what can you do to start building consistency today? Here's a challenge for you. Commit to practicing English for just 10 minutes a day. Whether it's speaking, listening, or learning new words, make it a daily habit. Start today, and in a week, you'll notice how much progress you've made. Consistency is the key to unlocking your fluency, so keep practicing, stay motivated, and remember that every small step brings you closer to your goal. One of the most effective ways to improve your English speaking skills is by practicing with others. You've heard it before. Practice makes perfect. But have you ever considered the impact of speaking with someone else? Having a speaking partner can make all the difference in your learning journey. It's not just about practicing in isolation. It's about engaging with another person, sharing ideas, and learning together. You might have experienced the difficulty of practicing speaking when there's no one to talk to, but don't worry. Finding speaking partners is easier than you might think. In fact, there are many platforms and communities that can help you connect with others who are learning English or even with native English speakers. Speaking with someone helps you put all your learning into action, transitioning from theory to real-world practice. This interaction is essential to becoming fluent, as it forces you to think in English and respond on the spot. You can begin by seeking out language exchange platforms. These websites connect people who want to learn each other's languages. You can help someone practice your native language while they help you with English. You'll find these platforms helpful because they allow you to practice through text, voice, or video chats, which will improve both your speaking and listening skills. Another good option is joining language exchange groups online, such as Facebook groups or forums. These communities often organize speaking events or virtual meetups where you can find someone to practice with regularly. For those who prefer structured learning, enrolling in online English classes can be a great option. Websites like Italki, Preply, and Verbling connect learners with qualified teachers who focus on conversational English. Having regular one-on-one sessions will give you the chance to practice speaking, receive feedback, and improve your fluency over time. Even if you aren't ready for formal lessons, these platforms provide a simple way to connect with native speakers. If you'd like to practice in person, look for local language exchange meetups. In many cities, there are clubs or social events where people meet to practice languages. This face-to-face interaction gives you the opportunity to speak directly with others, creating a more immersive learning experience. You may also have friends or family members who speak English. Even if they aren't fluent, you can still practice with them. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to practice and gain confidence. Many people worry about what they should talk about when they find a speaking partner. The best way to get started is by choosing simple topics that are easy to talk about. Discussing your daily routine, favorite hobbies, or even the weather are good starting points. You could also talk about your favorite movies, books, or plans for the weekend. These topics will help you practice using common vocabulary and help you feel comfortable in a conversation. When the conversation becomes easier, you can move on to deeper or more complex topics, such as discussing travel, culture, or even personal opinions on various matters. These kinds of discussions will challenge you and help you learn more advanced vocabulary and sentence structures. One of the most important things to remember when practicing with a speaking partner is that mistakes are a natural part of the process. Don't be afraid to make errors while speaking. Your partner is there to help you, and as long as you are communicating clearly, that's what matters most. In fact, speaking with a partner is one of the best ways to learn from your mistakes. Ask for feedback, and don't be discouraged if your partner corrects you. Each correction is an opportunity to grow. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment to start speaking. The more you speak, the more you'll improve. Even if you only practice for a few minutes each day, you'll start seeing progress. Conversations with your speaking partner don't have to be long, but they should be regular. Consistent practice will lead to better fluency. In addition to finding a speaking partner, don't forget to practice speaking by yourself. Try speaking aloud while you're doing daily tasks or describing things around you. You could also record yourself speaking and listen back to identify areas for improvement. It's important to remember that practice, whether with a partner or alone, is key to making progress. If you're feeling nervous or unsure, remind yourself that everyone goes through this process. Even native speakers make mistakes in their own language. It's the willingness to try and keep practicing that makes the difference. Over time, your confidence will grow, and speaking will become more natural and enjoyable. There are many other ways to find speaking partners. Online events, webinars, or even local coffee shop meetups are great places to practice speaking. Keep an open mind and explore different opportunities until you find the ones that work best for you. Whether it's with a native speaker or another learner, find someone to practice with and make speaking a regular part of your language learning routine. The more you practice, the better you'll become. And remember, if you ever feel uncertain, you can always turn to the resources available on my channel. I've uploaded videos that can guide you through the process of finding speaking partners and making the most of your conversations. Start practicing today, and before you know it, you'll be speaking English more confidently and fluently. So, have you found a speaking partner yet? What's been your experience? Share your thoughts and progress in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're practicing speaking and how it's helping you improve. Let's keep supporting each other as we move closer to fluency. By now, you've learned the importance of practicing consistently, building confidence, and speaking with partners. Now, we're going to explore one of the most effective techniques to help you improve your speaking skills. Shadowing. Shadowing is a simple but powerful technique that involves mimicking native speakers as they talk. This method helps you improve pronunciation, intonation, and fluency, and it's something you can practice every day. At first, shadowing might sound a little strange, but let me explain how it works. When you shadow someone, you listen to a recording or a conversation, and as you hear each word, you repeat it immediately. The goal is to mimic not just the words, but also the rhythm, tone, and stress of the speaker. By doing this, you'll become more familiar with the natural flow of English and start speaking more like a native speaker. Let me share a quote from the famous linguist Steven Pinker. "Language is not just a set of sounds. It's a series of ideas expressed through sounds." This quote emphasizes the connection between speech and communication. When you shadow a speaker, you're not just learning individual words. You're learning how to express ideas through language. This is one of the best ways to improve your speaking skills. So, how do you use shadowing in your daily practice? The first step is to choose material to listen to. This could be a podcast, an audiobook, a YouTube video, or even a movie or TV show. The key is to pick something that's not too difficult for your level, but also challenges you just enough. For beginners, I recommend starting with slow, clear speech so you can easily hear the words and understand them. Once you get more comfortable, you can move on to faster speech or more complex materials. When you're ready to start shadowing, find a short segment of the material to work with. It could be a short clip from a movie, a paragraph from an audiobook, or a couple of sentences from a podcast. Play the segment, and as you listen, repeat the words immediately after the speaker. Try to match their speed, tone, and rhythm. Don't worry about being perfect. The goal is to get as close as possible to how the speaker sounds. You can start slowly, focusing on individual words or phrases, and then gradually increase the speed as you become more confident. Repetition is key here. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel, and soon you'll find yourself speaking English with more fluidity and confidence. One of the biggest advantages of shadowing is that it helps you with pronunciation. English pronunciation can be tricky, especially when it comes to sounds that don't exist in your native language. By mimicking native speakers, you'll start to develop the muscle memory needed to pronounce words correctly. The more you repeat words and phrases, the more natural it will become, and your pronunciation will improve over time. Another benefit of shadowing is that it helps you develop a better understanding of intonation and rhythm. English has its own unique way of rising and falling in pitch, and these patterns are essential for sounding natural. For example, native speakers often raise their voices slightly when asking a question or emphasize certain words to convey meaning. Shadowing helps you pick up on these patterns and apply them to your own speech, making you sound more fluent and natural. Shadowing also helps you improve your listening skills. When you listen closely to native speakers, you become more attuned to the nuances of the language, like how words blend together, how contractions are used, and how sentences flow. This makes it easier for you to understand spoken English and respond more quickly in conversations. You can also use shadowing to expand your vocabulary. As you listen to different speakers, you'll hear new words and phrases that you can incorporate into your own speaking. Shadowing helps you learn vocabulary in context, which makes it easier to remember and use the words correctly. For example, if you hear a speaker use a word like serendipity, you can learn how it's pronounced and how it's used in a sentence, making it easier to use in your own speech. You don't have to shadow for long periods of time. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day can make a big difference. The key is to do it regularly. Consistency is what will help you improve. Even if you only have time to shadow one sentence or phrase each day, it's still valuable practice. Over time, you'll notice improvements in your pronunciation, fluency, and overall confidence when speaking. Shadowing is a technique you can use for any type of material, whether it's casual conversations, news broadcasts, or even speeches. It's a flexible method that you can adapt to your own level and interests. You can shadow anything that interests you, whether it's a podcast about technology, a movie scene, or an interview with a celebrity. The more variety you have in your practice, the more you'll learn. If you feel unsure about shadowing, start by repeating after a speaker in slow motion. Many podcasts and audiobooks offer transcripts or slow motion options, making it easier for you to follow along. As you get more comfortable, challenge yourself to shadow without any pauses. You'll feel your speaking ability improve with every repetition. To make the most of shadowing, try recording yourself. This gives you a chance to listen to your own voice and compare it with the original speaker. You can identify areas where you can improve, such as pronunciation or rhythm, and continue to refine your skills. Remember, shadowing isn't about being perfect. It's about improving little by little. As the famous linguist Noam Chomsky said, the process of learning a language is like building a bridge. It happens over time through repeated effort. Shadowing is one of those repeated efforts that will help you build a stronger bridge to fluency. Start shadowing today, even if it's just for a few minutes. The more you practice, the more confident and fluent you will become. As you continue on your journey to fluency, you'll notice that your vocabulary plays a huge role in how well you can express yourself in English. The more words you know, the easier it becomes to communicate your thoughts, feelings, and ideas. But building a strong vocabulary is not just about memorizing random words. It's about understanding how to use those words in real conversations. Now, we'll discuss why vocabulary is essential for speaking fluently and share some practical tips to help you expand your word bank and use new words with confidence. To start, let's look at a quote from one of the most famous writers in history, William Shakespeare. "A fool thinks himself to be wise, but a wise man knows himself to be a fool." This quote highlights the importance of words in shaping how we communicate and how we're perceived in English. Having a wide range of vocabulary helps you sound more confident, precise, and engaging in conversations. The right words can make your speech more impactful, while the wrong ones can leave your listener confused. This is why vocabulary is one of the building blocks of fluency. When you're learning English, it's easy to get stuck using the same basic words over and over again. For example, you might say good, big, or happy all the time. While these are useful words, they don't always express exactly what you want to say. Imagine if you wanted to describe something better than just good. Why, you could use words like fantastic, amazing, or excellent. Instead of just big, you could use huge, massive, or gigantic. And instead of happy, you might say joyful, delighted, or content. By expanding your vocabulary, you'll be able to communicate more effectively and express yourself more clearly. But where do you start when it comes to learning new words? There are many ways to expand your vocabulary, and the key is to practice using new words in real-life conversations. Here are some tips to help you grow your vocabulary and start using words more confidently. One of the best ways to learn new vocabulary is by reading regularly. Reading books, articles, newspapers, or even social media posts in English exposes you to a wide variety of words and phrases. You'll encounter words that you might not hear in everyday conversations, but that's okay. Just make a note of them and look up their meaning. Try to read a little bit every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. The more you read, the more words you'll come across, and the more you'll learn. Another effective method is to use a vocabulary notebook. Whenever you come across a new word, write it down along with its meaning and an example sentence. Then, try to use that word in a conversation or a sentence of your own. This helps reinforce the word in your memory and makes it easier to recall when you need it. You could also create flashcards with the word on one side and its definition on the other. Review your cards regularly to keep the words fresh in your mind. You can also learn vocabulary through listening. Listening to podcasts, watching movies or TV shows, and even listening to music can introduce you to new words and expressions. Pay attention to how native speakers use words in context. If you hear a word you don't know, write it down and look it up later. By listening to English in a variety of contexts, you'll get a better understanding of how words are used naturally in conversation. Using synonyms is another excellent way to expand your vocabulary. Synonyms are words that have the same or similar meaning, but they're used in different contexts. For example, instead of always saying happy, you could use joyful, content, or pleased. Learning synonyms gives you more flexibility in your speech and allows you to sound more natural and varied when you talk. To learn synonyms, try using a thesaurus, or simply pay attention to how different words are used in different situations. When you're speaking, it's important to practice using new words in your conversation. Don't be afraid to try out new words, even if you're not 100% sure how to use them. The more you practice, the easier it will become to use those words naturally. If you're having a conversation with a speaking partner, try to incorporate new vocabulary that you've learned. This not only helps you remember the words, but it also boosts your confidence when speaking. If you ever feel unsure about using a word, don't worry. The more you expose yourself to English, the more familiar the words will become. Over time, you'll start using them without thinking. If you're not sure how to use a word, you can always ask your speaking partner or look up examples online. Language learning is a process, and it's okay to make mistakes along the way. Another great way to improve your vocabulary is to focus on phrasal verbs and idiomatic expressions. These are common in everyday English, and knowing them will make you sound more natural. Phrasal verbs are combinations of verbs and prepositions like turn on, give up, or look after. While idiomatic expressions are phrases that don't have a literal meaning, such as break the ice or under the weather. Both are essential for sounding fluent in English. Remember, the goal is not to learn every word in the dictionary. It's about learning words that are useful to you. Focus on the vocabulary that you'll actually use in conversations. This will make your learning experience more relevant and enjoyable. The more words you know, the easier it becomes to express your thoughts and ideas in English. Now, I want you to challenge yourself. Start reading or listening to something new today. Make a note of at least 5 new words and try to use them in your conversations. Keep practicing, and soon you'll see your vocabulary grow, making it easier to speak fluently and confidently. Don't forget that on my channel, I have videos to help you expand your vocabulary, and I encourage you to check them out for more tips. The more words you know, the more fluent you'll become. As we come to the final section of this podcast, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered along the way. We've discussed the importance of speaking, building confidence, listening, consistency, finding speaking partners, using the shadowing technique, expanding your vocabulary, and much more. These are all crucial steps in your journey toward fluency. And now it's time for you to take all of this knowledge and put it into action. The most important thing to remember is that fluency doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that requires time, effort, and dedication. The key is to keep going, even when you face challenges. Everyone, even the most fluent speakers, started as beginners. They too made mistakes, stumbled over words, and had moments of doubt. But they didn't give up. They kept practicing, and over time, they became fluent. And you can do the same. If you take anything away from this podcast, let it be this: don't be afraid to speak. Every time you speak, whether you make a mistake or not, you are moving closer to your goal. The more you practice, the more confident you will become. And the more confident you are, the easier it will be to express yourself clearly and naturally. Remember, learning English is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, but every step you take brings you closer to your goal. Whether you're practicing with a speaking partner, shadowing native speakers, or expanding your vocabulary, each of these practices contributes to your growth. Celebrate every small victory along the way. Maybe today you used a new word, or maybe you had a conversation without feeling too nervous. Those are the moments to cherish because they show that you are improving. Here's a piece of advice from one of the most famous thinkers of all time, Albert Einstein. It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. Language learning is all about persistence. The more time and effort you invest, the greater the rewards. Don't be discouraged by setbacks. They're part of the process. With each mistake, you're learning something new. Every mistake is an opportunity to improve, so keep practicing and don't give up. Also, make sure to stay consistent with your practice. It's easy to forget about your learning routine when life gets busy, but the more consistently you practice, the more progress you'll see. Even if you only have 10 minutes a day, make those minutes count. Over time, it will add up. Set goals for yourself, track your progress, and keep challenging yourself to improve. The journey to fluency is different for everyone, and that's okay. Your path is unique to you, and it's important to stay focused on your own progress. Don't compare yourself to others. Focus on your own growth, and celebrate every achievement along the way. By now, you should have a good understanding of the techniques and strategies that will help you become a more confident English speaker. Keep practicing your speaking, listening, shadowing, and vocabulary building, and you'll see incredible results. Don't forget to take advantage of the resources available to you, like the videos on my channel, and keep engaging with the English language in ways that excite you. Before we wrap up, I want to encourage you to take action right now. Start speaking English today, even if it's just for a few minutes. Take what you've learned in this podcast and apply it to your own language learning routine. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create that moment now. The more you speak, the easier it will become. And soon, you'll find yourself speaking English with more confidence and fluency than ever before. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the podcast and how you plan to continue your English learning journey. Share your experiences and challenges in the comments below. What have you learned, and what are you most excited about moving forward? Let's continue to support each other as we work toward fluency together. Thank you so much for listening. I believe in your ability to speak English fluently, and I can't wait to see you succeed. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and remember, you've got this. Your journey to fluency starts right now, so let's begin.